Before we get started, I have a quick question for you. How are your students' presentations going? Has he come out of his shell since week one and now he's standing with confidence, speaking with passion, and fielding questions like he was born to do this? Or is it still a bit of a struggle? Maybe he abandons everything he prepared the moment he sees a room full of eyes on him. So he says one sentence and leaves. Maybe he overthinks what he wants to say and how he wants to say it. So when it comes time to speak, out comes nothing. If that's your student, he's in good company. Johannes Brahms was a self-conscious, self-critical musician. He was born into a musical family and had support from day one. He was a virtuoso pianist, a talented conductor, and a well-educated, highly trained composer who hung out with all the big names of the Romantic period. And yet, he struggled with presenting his work. This week, your student is studying Brahms and his Fourth Symphony, memorizing the Third Law of Thermodynamics, the Associative Law, the pluperfect tense, the mid-20th century history, and building a tower out of straws. So, what's the point? Your foundation student is memorizing the Associative Law this week. For addition, it says, open parenthesis, A plus B, close parenthesis, plus C equals A plus open parenthesis, B plus C, close parenthesis. And for multiplication, same structure, just swap out the operation. This is a math property that your student was probably already aware of and likely already using, whether he or she already knew it by name. For example, what happens in your mind when you see 3 times 4 times 25? Does your brain want to solve 12 times 25? Mine doesn't. Or would it rather solve 3 times 100? The associative law is saying this: when things belong together, the grouping is just a matter of preference, or maybe just proximity. You can rearrange, reorder, regroup, and the truth doesn't change. 3 times 4 times 25 is always 300, no matter how you get there. And here's the connection to your homeschool. The arts of grammar, dialectic, and rhetoric are non-negotiable. They're fixed. The goal doesn't move, but the journey to get there, that can look a lot of different ways. Your family's path through this curriculum doesn't have to look like your neighbor's. You can regroup. You can adjust. You can lean into what comes naturally in order to grow what doesn't. The destination is still the destination. The skills are still being built. So I've been considering freezing myself at absolute zero. My friends and family say it's a bad idea, but I'm pretty sure I'll be okay. Sorry. The third law of thermodynamics explains that it is impossible to reach the state of absolute zero temperature. That's the memory work. But through this one sentence, your student is learning that there's a limit built into the physical world. You can get colder and colder and colder, but you can never actually reach absolute zero. There's a boundary that the created order simply cannot cross. In Challenge B, students just finished their detailed reading of Defeating Darwinism. Through that book, they wrestled with the definition of several isms, including materialism and naturalism. The third law of thermodynamics points to boundaries and design in the physical world, among the strongest scientific arguments for an ordered, intentional creation. In Challenge 1 Physical Science, students are studying light and electromagnetic waves, reflection, refraction. And here's the thing about light. It obeys laws. It bends at predictable angles. It travels at a fixed speed. And it behaves the way it does because it's operating within a physical world that has limits built into it. In Challenge 3 Chemistry, students are calibrating thermometers and measuring specific heat. They're doing real experiments with real equipment and real data. And the third law that your foundation student is memorizing right now provides the boundary for everything Challenge 3 students are measuring and observing. And finally, in Challenge 4, students are working through calculus for everyone, and they're graphing limits mathematically, functions that approach a value but never quite arrive. And in the math map, students are introduced to limits and asymptotes every single year, starting at age 4. So all of that mathy and sciencey stuff is great, don't get me wrong, but there's something else waiting here as well within the concept of a limit. Always approaching, never attaining, pressing on nevertheless. Challenge 4 students, spend time pondering Zeno's paradox. That's the one where you can never get where you're going, because first you have to go halfway there, and halfway there, and halfway there, and on and on and on until you spend an eternity just waiting to start. Johannes Brahms knew what this felt like. He couldn't release a piece until it was perfect. He was known to even burn his own manuscripts. He began the draft of his first symphony at 29 years old, and he didn't finish it until he was 43. During those years, he wrote to a friend, "I'll never write a symphony. You have no idea how the likes of me feels with the tramp of a giant like him behind you." He's talking about Beethoven here, comparing his in-progress, unfinished first symphony to Beethoven's entire catalog of 9. No wonder he was stuck. Your student isn't listening to Brahms's first symphony, but to his fourth and final. This time, it took him just 1 year from composition to premiere. He was 52 years old. It's intense. It's dark, except for the third movement, and that's the one your student listens to. In this movement, Brahms relaxes a little bit. He has a little fun. It's marked allegro giocoso, lively and joyous. At the premiere of the piece, which Brahms himself conducted, the crowd was so excited by the third movement that he had to repeat it. Here's the connection. Classical education isn't a sprint. It's not even a race. It's a process, and the process takes time by design. When you watch your foundation student stumble through a presentation and then watch a Challenge 4 student defend an argument with confidence and conviction, you might be tempted to compare them. Don't. Brahms at 29 was not Brahms at 43, and he certainly wasn't Brahms at 52. Your foundation student today is not your challenge student tomorrow. Both are exactly where they should be. The work is happening, even when you can't see it yet. So memorize one fact, memorize another. Before you know it, you'll be halfway to halfway. Okay, let's look at English. A conjunction is a word used to connect words, phrases, or clauses together. That's the definition your foundation student is learning this week. It seems simple, but conjunctions are the connective tissue of language. Without them, every idea stands alone. With them, ideas relate to each other. They show contrast, addition, cause, and consequence. The integration of subjects is an essential part of a classical education, and that can't happen without conjunctions. Next week, students will learn all the coordinating conjunctions. There's only 7. In Essentials, they'll learn about subordinating conjunctions as well. Also in Essentials, students are learning to diagram sentences, and conjunctions are where things get interesting. The difference between a compound sentence and a complex sentence comes down to the conjunction that joins the clauses. Is it coordinating? Subordinating? The answer determines the structure of the whole sentence. A student who understands conjunctions can parse any sentence she encounters. That's not a small thing. In the challenge reasoning strand, conjunctions become mathematical. Students work with conjuncts and disjuncts, conditionals, biconditionals, rules of inference, and a question that separates good reasoning from sloppy reasoning. Is it the inclusive or the exclusive or? Because those are not the same thing, and getting it wrong will cost you the argument. The word or is doing serious heavy lifting by that point, and it all started with knowing what a conjunction is. And back to presentations for a moment. Throughout the challenge years, students assess themselves after each presentation or rhetorical assignment. Often, this looks like glows and grows, what went well, what to work on. Conjunctions matter more than you might think. I did X well, and I will work on Y for next time, is a fundamentally different statement than I did A well, but I didn't do B. The but erases everything that came before it. The and holds them both together. The success and the shortcoming. The glow and the grow. The work already done and the work still ahead. Growing in the 15 classical skills means your student will, over time, move from but to and. That's not just better grammar. That's a more truthful picture of what learning actually looks like. Your student is memorizing 7 timeline cards this week. World War II and President Franklin D. Roosevelt, Stalin of the USSR and the Katyn massacre, the United Nations formed, the Cold War, Gandhi and India's independence, Jewish state established, Mao and communist victory in China. That's a lot for your foundation student to understand. They won't understand most of it or any of it, but they do know the names and the places. Take a look at the number of ideologies present in this timeline excerpt. Stalinism, Maoism, Zionism, communism, capitalism, liberalism, globalism, brinksmanship, nonviolent revolution, just to name a few. As your student continues through the program, questions related to these events will continue to arise. Challenge students will define these ideologies and their tenets. They'll compare the underlying beliefs of these isms to one another. They'll flesh out the circumstances surrounding the ideology, the broader world beyond the event. They'll analyze the causes and the effects of putting these beliefs into practice. And they'll test and consider all of these ideas through the lens of biblical truth. That's the 5 common topics, skills that are built question by question. You're reinforcing the Latin pluperfect endings this week. Eram, eras, erat, eramus, eratis, erant. The CC child memorizing pluperfect endings is enacting the very thing the pluperfect describes. They're loading the pluperfect storehouse. They don't yet know what they're storing it for, which is precisely the point of memory work. By the time they need it, it will already have been learned. It will exist for then in the pluperfect. Didi Keram, I had learned. Before I knew, I would need to know it. That is classical conversations pedagogy stated in a single Latin sentence. In community this week, students are working together in groups to build a tower out of straws and tape. Think about what that straw tower activity actually is. Your student is handed a limited set of materials, just straws and tape, and asked to build something that stands. There's no blueprint. There's no guarantee it won't fall. There's just the task, the team, and the willingness to try and rebuild and try again. Your student gets a chance to practice all 15 classical skills in one 30-minute activity. Grammar names what you have. Dialectic figures out how to use it, and rhetoric makes something worth showing off. And those skills are growing. Maybe next year, your foundation students' presentations will click. Maybe it won't happen until the 3rd year doing Faces of History. Maybe it'll be during science fair, or while delivering a statement at the mock trial, maybe team policy debate, or the art grant proposal, or during a dramatic interpretation of Hamlet. Or maybe it will always be a bit of a struggle, but he'll have the skills, the experience, and the character to present well anyway. You and your student are building something. It won't be perfect, but that's no reason to quit. It may take you longer than someone else, but that's no reason not to start. It won't look exactly like your neighbors, but it's not supposed to. It will take a lifetime, and that's the point. Because learning is a lifestyle, so be an everyday educator.